Well, we're not likely to support it, and in a nutshell, without kind of drowning in parliamentary procedure, the problem is the motion would in effect rule out no deal, and so that would remove the key part of the government's negotiating leverage in the discussions in Brussels. So that is why we cannot support it. The Prime Minister has told the House again and again and again she would not rule out no deal, but this motion in effect does that because it supports something called the Spellman Amendment, which had that effect. So if the motion went ahead, we would end up in the bizarre position of the government whipping its own MPs to go through the lobbies to vote against its own policy, which sounds potty, and it is, but that's what would happen. And we cannot possibly support that. We've told the government that. We asked them not to table the motion last night. In fact, we pleaded with them not to do that. They didn't listen. We've offered talks with them later this afternoon to try and find a way through. They just come back and accepted that in principle. We will meet with them sometime later this afternoon to try and find a compromise. We haven't yet decided. It really all, I can't preempt the discussion. It all depends what happens. But if the government refused to pull the motion, the best thing would be to pull it, admit it's badly drafted, and resubmit something that's better worded that we could all actively support. If they won't do that, then either they'd have to amend their own motion or someone else would have to do it for them. But, in case people, think we're being awkward, one, we pleaded with them last night, to hold on to it and table something better in the morning. They didn't. And now we've offered to speak to them to try and find a way through. So we're trying to be reasonable, but we've made it crystal clear we will not vote for a motion that rules out no deal and undermines our negotiations in Brussels. Ollie Robbins has been the government's chief negotiator, right? He has all this at his fingertips. Many of us believe he's too big for his boots. But whether he is or not, if you've got the government's, key negotiating strategy in your head, it's not particularly professional to go down to some pub, have too many to drink and start blurting it out to whoever might be listening. For a senior civil servant to do that is entirely unprofessional, and I think he's got some very, very tough questions to answer.